Hello ladies and gentle people, welcome to Trainspotting at Bristol Temple Meads in the mid-1980s. Now, I first moved to Bristol in 1984 and didn't know that many people in the city, so when I had kind of a few hours to kill, I would just take a wander down Temple Meads Station and just watch the trains go by. On occasions I just happened to have a cheap 35mm Instamatic camera with me, so I took some rather, by modern standards, iffy photos of the trains coming and going, and I thought these pictures long lost, and then I was having a clear out the other day and found a big pile of them, so I've selected a few, and I haven't got any dates or information on these, or very little dates and information, and so I've arranged these by class, and all I can tell you is that these were taken between November 84 and around about August 1985. So go through them. Okay, first up we have a few shunters, the Class 08s. Now there were quite a few of these in Bristol, turning up at various goods yards and sidings and stations, etc. And we'll start off with 08398. Now this one was built at Derby and spent time at Lara in Plymouth and Newton Abbot before arriving at Bristol Bath Road Depot in August 1981. And it did a few odd periods at Swindon, but was primarily a Bristol Bath Road loco, and was withdrawn not long after this photograph was taken in July 1985 and was cut up at EMR Railways in Kingsbury of November that year. Next up we have 08950, which was a fairly regular attraction at Bristol Temple Meads during the 1980s. She was built at Darlington in September 1962, and after serving time at Evervale and Landor in South Wales, and she ended up at Old Oak Common and then moved to Bristol Bath Road at some point in the late 1970s, and she was for many years the regular station pilot at Bristol Temple Meads, normally always coupled up to her familiar BR standard 20-ton brake van that was used as shunters wagon. Now this venerable old girl is still in service, and as far as I can ascertain is currently owned by East Midlands Shunting Locomotives and is based at Neville Hill Depot in Leeds. Okay, next up we have some Class 31s. Now apparently at the time of these photographs were taken, they had only just began to be allocated to the Bristol area, and we're going to kick off with 31134. Now, she was built at Brush Traction at Loughborough, coming out of the shops in September 1959, and spent most of her life on the eastern region, primarily at the Stratford Depot. However, she was transferred in the mid-1980s to Bristol Bath Road, and there she stayed until she was withdrawn in December 1998, cut up at EWSR's Wigan Depot in April the following year. And now you have another picture of the venerable 31134 with a colleague 31104. Now again Brush Traction Depot, but this time in March 1959, and again primarily on the eastern region until transferred to the western region, having previously spent time at York and Gateshead. However, in late 1985, probably within a few months of this photograph being taken, she was withdrawn and then converted to a 31/4 locomotive and renumbered 31418, and in that form she survived until October 1985, and she is currently preserved, currently at the Midland Railway in Butterley and undergoing restoration. Okay, moving on to the ubiquitous Birmingham Railway Carriage and Wagon Company's Class 33s. Now these were pretty common sights at Temple Meads back in the early to mid 1980s, as they held a monopoly of workings on the trains between the south coast, primarily Brighton and Portsmouth, through to Cardiff and Swansea. And Bristol Temple Meads was a hub of the activity because one engine will bring it in from the south coast, and you would have a direction change and an engine change at Bristol Temple Meads before the train proceeded on to Cardiff and South Wales. And there was always a few of these knocking around, and we'll start out with 33004, here pictured stationary outside the shed at Bristol Bath Road. Now, this one delivered in March 1960, and she lasted until June 1991, when she was withdrawn at Eastleigh Depot and scrapped soon after. Talking of Eastleigh, here's 33008 Eastleigh, parked again on the outside Bristol Bath Road locomotive depot. And this fair lady was delivered in May 1960, and she survived until February 1996, where on withdrawal she was brought for preservation and is currently at the Shillingstone North Dorset Railway project and is apparently undergoing restoration. Next up we have 33023. Now this is parked at the end of what is currently platform 5 at Bristol Temple Meads, on a couple of little kind of spur roads where they were where locos getting ready to take over incoming trains were sort of like stored until they were needed. And yeah, this is where 33023 is currently parked. It looks like with the driver in the front cab, she's probably just arrived waiting for an incoming train. Now, this girl, she was built in January 1961, again at Birmingham Railway Carriage and Wagon Works, and she wasn't withdrawn until May 2005, and was cut up in the November of that year. And here we have another Class 33, 33047, Earl Mountbatten of Burma. Now, delivered in 1961, this girl was withdrawn from British Rail in 1993, although she was used as a spares donor for other members of the class, and it wasn't until February 1997 that she met her fate. Shame, because this was probably my favourite of the Class 33s. I travelled behind her on several occasions, and she always had a nice smooth run. Now, the Class 37s were fairly regular visitors to the Bristol area, primarily on freight trains in South Wales, although I'm surprised I've only got the one picture showing these two particular locomotives. What we have here is 37182, built at Robin Stevenson and Hawthorne Co. in October 1963, and spent most of her career either at Cardiff Canton or Landale depots. She was withdrawn in August 1987 and refurbished and renumbered as 37670, and is still in existence, owned by Harry Needle Railway Company. She's been in storage at Carlisle Kingsmore Depot, out of use for several years. Her future remains in the balance. And with her we have 37220. This one came out of the English Electric's Vulcan foundry in January 1964, and again spent most of her life at Cardiff Canton, apart from a few years between 1967 and 1974, where she hung around in the northeast. Was used by EWSR after privatisation, and was withdrawn in August 2005, although she wasn't cut up until September 2007 at EMR's Kingsbury Depot. Now, the Class 45s were fairly regular visitors to Bristol, normally on interregional trains from the Midlands, and they were always favourites of mine. There was something very, very impressive about these peaks. And here's a couple of them. Going to kick off with this one, 45014, the Cheshire Regiment. She was built in Crewe in December 1961, and survived until about a year after this photograph was taken, being withdrawn in March 1986, and was disposed of by Vic Berry at Ashbury in September of the same year. And here we have another peak. This one is number 45029, built at Derby in May 1967 and was withdrawn in 1987, but she was not cut up until October 1991, where she was disposed of right up in Scotland at MC Metals in Springburn. And as you can see, she's in the company of a Class 47. So we'll do some 47s now. This is, the one that's in the photograph here is 47203, a built at Crewe in July 1965 and withdrawn in March 1989 and cut up in the June of the following year by Vic Berry at their Leicester concern. And next up, 47106, one of the Western Region 47s, built at Brush Traction in Loughborough in December 1963. She spent most of her life on the Western Region and was for many years a Bristol Bath Road loco, although she did spend some time working out of Old Oak Common. She was finally withdrawn in February 1988 and cut up by Vic Berry in Leicester in June the following year. And here on a freight train is one of her sister locomotives, 47109. Again, a Western Region loco for most of her life. She was delivered from Brush Traction in December 1963 and survived until August 1987 and was cut up in 1989 at MC Metals up there in Springburn in Glasgow again. Now, on a what looks like a down passenger is number 47442. Another Crewe locomotive, this one, and spent most of her life on the Eastern Region. She was built in 1964 in the February and withdrawn in March 1993, although again she languished in Crewe works until April 1997 before she too was cut up. And finally, another Class 47, this one 47509, Albion. This is a Brush Traction locomotive built in November 1966, and she survived as a Bristol Bath Road locomotive until November 1992, and she languished for 3 years at the back of the shed there at Bristol Bath Road before being broken up on site in November 1995. And I can remember walking past the road that overlooked the depot and seeing her slow demise in public. It was sad. Okay, moving on to the Class 50s now. Now, by the time that I was here with my camera, the Class 50s had been largely replaced as the premier racehorses on the Paddington, the West of England line, although they did show up from time to time, either as on interregional trains or as on relief services. And it's on a relief service we see this one. I have a note on the back of the photograph as 50048 Dauntless. Now, this was an English electric locomotive built in November 1968, the penultimate one built, and she was withdrawn early in July 1991 after what could find out as collision damage. If anyone knows any more details, please let me know in the comments below. And she was cut up at Springburn in Scotland by MC Metals in April the following year. Now, the Class 56s were unusual visitors to Bristol Temple Meads, and I can only ever remember seeing one or two of them over the whole time I used to go Trainspotting there. And here we see one of them, 56033, built in Doncaster in August 1977, the third locomotive in the British built batch. And this one lasted in service until October 2003, when she was withdrawn, although she wasn't cut up until June 2010, having spent a lot of time rusting and siding at EMR's Kingsbury works. Now, here's some pictures of some HSTs, high-speed trains, intercity 125s, whatever you want to call them. At the time, these were deemed cliché, new, and, to be honest, rather boring. So, like many other spotters at the time, I didn't bother taking many pictures of them. So here's just a few random snaps of HSTs. Yeah, we got one standing at what looks like platform 3 at Temple Meads, or maybe it's 4. Here's another one arriving at what looks like platform 7. And finally, here's one that I have got a little note scribbled on the back of the photo. It's set number 25330, and all I've got note there is note the new livery. It doesn't improve the looks. That was my opinion then. I don't know if it's changed or not, but I'll let you make up your mind. And finally, a rather blurry shot that I wasn't going to include, but I thought I would, because it's something a little bit unusual. This is a Class 120 bubblecar single car unit. Now, there was a number of these, both at Bristol Temple Meads and St Philip's Marsh. They were used primarily on local services, principally on the Severn Beach line, and also on the shuttle between Bristol Temple Meads and Bristol Parkway. And here's a shot of one. I don't know the number. Even the negative's too blurred to take much notice of. But it's arriving, and I've probably, because it's coming into platform 1, it's probably a Temple Meads to Avonmouth or Severn Beach service. So that's it, just a few old photographs from my archives. Hope you found it interesting. Again, apologies for the photography. Only equipment and lighting at Temple Meads at the time didn't make for kind of excellent photographic conditions. But hey, it's a record of what was going on there at the time, and of my late teen years when I was bored in afternoons when I wasn't working. So hope you enjoyed that. I will be doing a follow-up to my 10 British Railway locomotive oddities, but owing to changes in work and personal circumstances at the moment, time is being a bit of a premium. I am working on it, but I want to do this one far better than the next one, so the last one. So it will be there eventually. So thanks for watching. Hope you liked what you see. Have an explore on my channel if you like some. There are a couple of other train videos on there, and some music and some other stuff that you might find interesting. So until next time, peeps, and a big goodbye, and all a big shout out to my buddy Sam at Sam's Trains for being a diamond geezer and a lovely bloke. Check his channel out. So okay, peeps, till next time, bye.